Good morning. It is Tuesday. It's 10:35. I am in my homeroom class right now. We just started about 15 minutes ago. So far, what I did was I shared with them an extra credit opportunity I'm going to be offering them for Black History Month through Flocabulary. In essence, they write a rap that's at least 12 lines long. They submit it, and then Flocabulary chooses the winner and they turn it into an actual Flocabulary video. For my purposes, as long as they submit, or as long as they have a submission and it looks like they've put forth effort, they'll get the extra credit. Right now they are in their breakout groups. They have, I gave them 7 minutes in total, so they have about 6 minutes left. And what they're doing is they're just finalizing their slide presentation from yesterday on Anne Frank. So again, this is group 1 all the way to group 8. So I told them, you know, go in there, make sure you have your bulleted list of information that you want to share. Make sure the representative, who is person 1 in the group, has had an opportunity to practice what they're going to say, that they're clear and loud and able to be heard. And then when they come out of those breakout rooms, then they're going to present. And we're just going to listen to each group present the portion of the day that they were in charge of, or the group of people that they were in charge of. So we're gonna see how it goes. As far as yesterday is concerned, last night was a rough night, and it's perfect timing because last night was one of those nights where I had to stay up, not late, but I had to work into the evening to be ready for today, because yesterday with Genesis I was just so disoriented and disorganized, and I had to get some things prepared for today. So I feel better. I didn't end up cooking. I ended up ordering out. I got some rib tips from Lucille's and ate some brown rice. But yeah, I'm hoping for a better day today. So far, so good. But I will keep you posted on how this goes, and then I'll share with you what we're going to be doing in history a little bit later. About 10 more minutes before my next class starts. So I finished the first session with my homeroom class. We got through the Anne Frank presentation. Overall, that went well. It accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. They got all the information without having to read the whole website or listen to me read it. So they shared out, and then I gave them, they ended up having about 15 minutes or so to explore the annex using that virtual tour. And then I asked a couple kids to share a couple of pieces of information that they thought was interesting while taking that tour on the annex. A couple of people were very intrigued by the fact that on the website it says that Anne Frank had a crush on one of the other teenage boys that was staying in the annex, and that at some point they were dating, or she had her first kiss with them. Like, that's what the middle schoolers thought was interesting. So when they come back, we're gonna transition into history, and we're gonna talk about the Bill of Rights. We've talked about it a very small amount so far. We really have had this large gap with history instruction because of winter break and then the district assessment. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we are gonna watch this TED Ed video that is titled, "Why Wasn't the Bill of Rights Included in the Constitution?" The video is going to be really good for us because it's going to review a lot of the things that we've already talked about, but they may not remember because it's been so long. And then we're going to use this iCivics lesson to kind of get into it. Before I share that with you, I want to thank whoever it was. I wish I was better about remembering names of people that give me these suggestions that I didn't know about. But someone, I think it was last week, told me about the Chrome extension called Dual-less. And the way that it's described in the extension store is like it's the poor person's version of having 2 monitors. I'm not going to say that I'm poor, but I also don't want like monitors everywhere. So the nice thing about it is obviously it's free. It's an extension, and all you do is you add the extension, and when you go to it, it gives you the option of how you want the screen to be split. So I have it at a 5:5 right now, so 50-50, and I was using it just now as I was prepping some stuff for tomorrow. So that's screen 1, quote unquote, and then this would be screen 2. And as I'm working on all of this, I am watching my homegirl Judge Judy right there. So I was prepping something that we're going to use tomorrow, but for today we're using the iCivics lesson titled And what I just showed you is a part of the iCivics lesson. I'm just splitting it up into 2 days. The lesson is called You've Got Rights, and so it's to acclimate them to the Bill of Rights and what the Bill of Rights say and what rights and liberties are included there. And so it starts off by having them pretend like they're in the year 2056, I believe, and aliens had just invaded and they've survived. And so the government has come up with this pamphlet of protections, which is like your Bill of Rights. And I think there's a total of 15 of these protections. Let's see, it's not there. I think I screenshotted it. I'll show it to you later. There's like 15 protections, and the first thing that students do is they have to pick the 10 protections that they think are the most important. And then we talk about that and share out like why you did that. Then we're gonna move into looking at the actual Bill of Rights themselves. And so I'm gonna use Cami for that. We're gonna read through this also, but I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time reading that in detail because the video that I'm gonna show is gonna cover quite a bit of that. But we're gonna read the amendments together. And before we do that, we're going to highlight all the bolded words, and we're gonna look for synonyms that are more familiar to us in language. So I did this one as an example. So I want them to know that another way to say abridging would be to reduce. So the lesson on iCivics suggests that the teacher provides this list of synonyms. Miss Robinson is not going to do that, but instead I'm gonna have a student volunteer type in the bolded words as we get to them in thesaurus.com. And then we're gonna find out what a synonym is that we're all comfortable with from there, and then add it to Cami. So we're gonna read through the amendments after we define, or after we find synonyms for all of these bolded words. And as we're reading through them, they need to see if these amendments sound like any of the protections from the pamphlet of protections from our alien invasion scenario, whether or not there's any sort of similarities between the two. And so we're also going to kind of talk about, from that pamphlet of protection, out of the 10 that they selected, which one do they think is the most critical to have. And I'm going to use the poll feature in Zoom just to kind of take a quick survey so that the kids can kind of see what everybody thinks or thought. Let me see if I can find, I think I do have it. Here it is. So this is the pamphlet of protection. This isn't a resource from iCivics. They had it in a half sheet, so I just screenshot it one half and downloaded it as a PDF so I can put it into Cami, which will allow kids to annotate when they open it up in Cami. So they have these 15 like protections. They're gonna rank the top 10, so 5 of them won't be selected. And then I'm gonna use the poll feature in Zoom to have them vote which of the 10 do they feel like was the most critical. Like if they could only have one of these protections, which one would it be? And then, you know, be prepared to explain why. Also, I have this little sticky note here to just kind of remind me of the steps I want to take, because this lesson is new to me. I haven't taught this before. So I just want to make sure I remember, like, this is the progression of steps, and I just want that visual in front of me so that I can remind myself what I want to do first, second, and so on, without printing out paper. So what I was working on just now was the matching activity that goes with this. We're not going to do that today because we won't have time. We're going to do that tomorrow. And obviously I can't give them, I don't know why I put the camera down. Obviously I can't give them this and say, cut it out and match it up so I can see what you did. So since I can't do that, I am going to use a Jamboard instead. So this is what I just made. So these yellow sticky notes that I just made correspond to the numbered cards right there. And then these blue sticky notes correspond to those. So I think I'm going to duplicate this Jamboard so that each group has one. And then tomorrow in a group setting, they'll match it up and then we'll check to see if we've all matched it the same. And that's my plan. I feel like I just dumped a lot of information out. So we're gonna get started with this Bill of Rights lesson today, but it's gonna extend until tomorrow. But I just wanted to show you that. That's how I just spent my prep period. It is 12:02 and class starts in 3 minutes, so I'm gonna get going there. And yeah, that's it for right now. Aliens have come and your life was at stake. And somehow, luckily, miraculously, as a country, Americans have pulled together, and just like you defeated the coronavirus in 2021, you defeat the aliens in 2056, okay? But now everybody's scared, okay? That, wow, that was a close call. We need to check ourselves, make sure that we have all of our rights in check, and all the rights that we need to stay protected and live peacefully and successfully are still intact, okay? So the leaders of the government now say, okay, we need to come up with something called the pamphlet of protection. So what I want you guys to do is you're gonna go to Google Classroom. So I want you guys to go to the assignment titled, You've Got Rights. I'm gonna share my screen so you can see. You're gonna go here and there's a few things listed, but you're gonna click where it says, we've defeated the aliens, okay? And I want you to open it with Cami because you're gonna need to mark on it. You're gonna either need to type numbers, highlight, whatever you choose to do. And so this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna do this independently for a few minutes. It says, you've got rights. We defeated the aliens, now what? The year is 2056. After a huge battle with alien invaders that nearly destroyed the world, people are afraid about what rights they'll have under a new government. Leaders have decided to create the pamphlet of protections to define what rights people will have. Look at the proposed rights, mark the 10 that you think should be included. So if you look, there's a total of 15, but you can only pick 10 out of the 15. Okay, you don't need to rank them. You don't need to say this one's first, this one's second, this one's third. You're just gonna read through them and pick, these are the 10 that I need to make sure are protected now that I've survived the trauma of defeating the aliens. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes to do that. You can mark it using a highlighter, so you can either highlight it, you can type an X, like you just need to have it marked somehow so that you can see this is what you're choosing. Okay. How many minutes do you think you need to do that? Yeah, I was thinking like 5, saying 8. Now you and your overarching estimations of time. 20 minutes? 20 minutes.
That's gonna be the time that class ends.
Yeah, trying to make class over. Okay, I'm not gonna give you 20. Let's compromise, I'll do 7. So I'm gonna give you 7 minutes. All you're doing is picking your top 10. When you finish picking your top 10, do me a favor and turn your camera off so that I know if we finish before the 7 minutes is up, we can move on to the next step. Has everybody got it? All right, you got 7 minutes. And when you guys take a look at the annex, if you haven't already, just imagine 8 people living in that space. I mean, even if you think of your house right now, and most of you, I would assume, have like a decent sized house, even 8 people in your house, that would be a lot of people in that space. And so when you guys get a chance to look at the annex and see that it was really this small space, we're not like 8 little kids or 8 little babies were running around. These were 8 grown people or 8 teenagers just taking up space. So
they also said, like, we didn't write it down, but also said that they lived like that for 2 years.
Yeah. And so
1944.
Imagine, like what I said in my homeroom class, like as we were going through this, like remember when COVID first came and everybody was like at a 10 with freaking out, and we couldn't get toilet paper and we couldn't get like basic supplies, and everybody was like really frightened to leave the house, and so we were just staying in the house. And like for maybe a day or two that was fine and relaxing, but there came a point where you just couldn't even like do it anymore. And I'm sure most of you are there now. But we had things like the television, we had phones, we had the internet, we had Netflix, we had Wi-Fi, we had TikTok, we had YouTube. Like we had at least things to do or to entertain us while we were in that environment. But this is years ago, or more than years ago, this is decades ago, and they don't really have any of that. So imagine being under stay-at-home orders and take your phone away, take the TV away, take Netflix away, take the internet away, take your phone away, and just imagine just sitting in your house. Nothing to do. And did you want to share something? We just wanted to say.
And then also, I just wanted to mention, say like they did have stuff for the things they did have. They couldn't use it because they couldn't make a lot of noise, or it alert some people that.
Yeah, so we're gonna there's some slides that are gonna also talk about like just different parts of the day. What were they restricted from doing because they're in hiding? So we it just helped me to put things in perspective. We're frustrated and annoyed because we're being inconvenienced. Whereas they're doing this because they're just trying to live and survive. So it's almost 3:30 right now. I think it's like 3:25. Class ended and I stopped teaching at 2:25. And when that was done, took the dogs out to use the bathroom and all of that. And it's so funny, like when I finish teaching or when I finish doing what I have to do, I become suddenly very aware of like all the accessories that I'm wearing, and I just want to take them off. As much as I love accessories, like when I'm done, I want to just take my earrings off, take my necklace off. So I took my earrings off because my earlobes were just tired. They felt like they had worked a full day. So I took my earrings off, and then I took my necklaces off, and I put on some shorts just to feel free for the rest of the day. And then I promptly ate my leftovers, which were leftover rib tips from Lucille's and some brown rice with feta cheese. I just finished eating that, and now I desperately feel like I have to take a nap. I'm so sleepy right now that I can't even like think about prepping for tomorrow. I got a little bit done already. Like I have my slides and everything ready for my homeroom class. My switch class, they're just doing what my homeroom class did today, tomorrow, because they didn't get to do the whole Bill of Rights thing. So I just have to recreate that post for the switch class. And aside from that, I have to look at the first read of Anne Frank on Study Sync and see if there's anything supplemental that I want to add to that. But I'm going to do that later. I'm going to allow myself to take a little nap right now. Then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to cook later on. It's salmon. And hopefully not be working it until almost 11 o'clock last night. So last night I didn't stop like working on school stuff until almost 11, and then I went straight to bed. But I do know I'm about to take a nap right now. But all in all, the Bill of Rights lesson, the little part that we did today went really well. So all we got through was watching the TED Ed video, doing the whole, the aliens have invaded, what are the 10 protections that you want to have in this new government. They ranked them. I really liked it because the kids were putting in the chat that it was hard to choose 10 out of the 15 because there were some pretty serious ones. And then using the poll feature really worked to see which one they chose the most. And their top 2 was that everyone would be treated equally. And the second one was the right to have weapons, which I thought was pretty interesting. So that worked well, and we'll finish that up tomorrow. We were able to find the synonyms for a few words just from the First Amendment. And so tomorrow, I think what I'll do is I'll have everyone look for words on their own and then give suggestions in the chat. And then with my switch class, we did the Anne Frank. We finished up the Anne Frank building background. They toured the annex and all of that. And then that was it. So all in all, a good work day. I feel much better than I did at the end of the day yesterday. Excuse me. And several students today had Wi-Fi issues, like there was network outages or something, but it was a good day nonetheless. So I'm going to take a nap. I think I'm just going to close the vlog here. Like the only thing I'm going to do after this is like cook, or after my nap is cook and prep some more. And I think this is just a good ending point. So I'm going to go ahead and end it. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Find me on Instagram and follow me there at SmartyStyle. And I hope that you are well. And as always, if you are not well, please be well. And I will see you tomorrow. See you guys tomorrow.